Okay, welcome back. So the purpose of this video is to go over a couple of my better laps at the New York Safety Track. Here is some relevant background from this track day. I've never been to New York Safety Track before. The organization I normally ride with, Tony's Track Days, does it once a year, and because I'm in their blue group or their intermediate riders, I thought it would make sense to first do a New York Safety Track Day with a different organization so that I could kind of learn the track and not be a burden to my ordinary track group when I went and have to learn the track there. So I just signed up with the New York Safety Track Day directly on their website. I don't think that it's a specific organization. I think it's literally the New York Safety Track riders. I don't believe that I am the most competent and capable rider, but I do think that I have obtained certain technical skills that bring me beyond a beginner or rookie rider. So preemptively, because this New York Safety Track group allows you to choose your groups, I had originally placed myself in the intermediate group. For reference, the New York Safety Track Day organization runs 4 groups similar to Tony's Track Days. They run beginners, intermediate, advanced, and expert. Now, if I had gone one-to-one in my group, I would have assumed that I would go to the advanced group because that's the group that I'm kind of in Tony's Track Days. But I also know that advanced has different qualifications in each organization. This is a track I've never been to. I really didn't feel comfortable going to advanced. That being said, I really didn't think that it made sense for me to choose rookie or novice because, again, I believe I possess the technical capabilities that would allow me to perform beyond most riders in that group. Fast forward to the track day, I get there and I start riding, and New York Safety Track, I think, is 18 turns, maybe 17. It's a lot. It's a bunch. Some of them are kind of fake turns, so really the quantity is not as great as the numerical values may make it seem, but there's a lot of turns. And I had no idea where I was going. So I had signed up for the intermediate group and they had graciously let me go out with the intermediate group. And upon my first couple laps out, I immediately had a coach on my tail and then in front of me. And I followed him for the rest of the session and then proceeded to pull into the pits. And when I pulled into the pits, he pulled up next to me and he said, "You can't be an intermediate. You have to go down to beginner." I'll admit that it bugged me a little bit because I thought, hey, like, I've done a decent amount of track days. I know how to ride, but I guess I assumed I was a lot better than I thought I was, and I really need to be in the beginner group. So I went down to the beginner group and I started riding in there. The clip you're watching right now is me riding in the beginner group. I think after 2 additional sessions, so we'll call it 3 out of the 4 morning sessions right before lunch break, I had the track pretty much memorized as far as layout. Not my line, not my reference points, nothing like that. But I knew whether the turn was going left or right, which I didn't know the very first time I was going out on the track, or how sharp they were. Fast forward again a little bit more. We get to the session, right, the final session before lunch. So the 4th session of the day, a coach is following me unbeknownst to me. And I pull into the pits after the 4th session. And he comes in behind me. He says, "What are you doing in the beginner group?" And at this point, I had been chopping up the beginner group pretty steadily. I was passing pretty much everybody, which I think was expected because now that I knew where I was going, I was able to ride my normal pace, which I believe and was affirmed by this coach to be beyond the beginner group pace. Anyway, he immediately bumped me back up to the intermediate group. And when I got to the intermediate group, there was less traffic. I was obviously running into less people because people were more on my pace. I was still passing people on my 390 on bigger bikes in the intermediate group, but it was a lot less common. And so I just wanted to provide a couple laps that I did in the intermediate group, which were about 1 minute and 46 seconds each. For reference, fast laps are, I think, the low 30s and high 20s on New York Safety Track. So I'm obviously nowhere near significant pace. But I think that for my first time at NYST on a smaller bike, a mid-40s is not a terrible lap time. And I know that there's areas that I can pick up speed. I mean, obviously there are areas I can pick up speed, but even from just going to this track day, I knew that there was areas that, hey, like I can just go faster, period, without any additional risk. Like I could just go faster there. So I plan on obviously doing more track days at NYST, and I'm hoping to see low 40s or maybe even breaking into the 30s potentially by the end of the 2023 season. But without further ado, enough of my rambling. A look at a couple of my 146 laps from New York Safety Track, the first time I've ever been on this track.